What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Mr. Mooman11 here, bringing you a Tank Volibear jungle guide. Now this champ is a little different from the other champs I make guides on because Voli is less of a brawly assassin, more of a heavy team presence tanky champion. So think of him less like a John Wilkes Booth kind of assassin and more like a Care Bear, who just watches family get slaughtered in front of him and starts taking steroids to enact his rage-filled quest to bring vengeance to his slain brethren. I mean, Volibear's the type of champ that when he repeatedly stabs you in the left nostril, you apologize for getting blood on his claws. But to get Voli to that level of fearsomeness, we've got to go over the runes and masteries for him. We'll be running flat armor reds, scaling health yellows, and flat magic resist blues. For quintessences, you can pretty much go any combination of attack speed and or movement speed runes, it's really up to preference. On to masteries, take 12, 0, 18, and to make us tankier than an M1 Abrams, we'll be running Strength of Ages for our keystone. Once you've got everything the way you like, grab some friends and bear crawl your way into a game. When you spawn in, buy yourself a hunter's machete, a vision trinket, and a refillable flask. Whoa, Mooman, did you say refillable flask? I thought you said you hated those. Well, normally I do, little Timmy, but bear with me on this one. Since you've got enough armor and health anyway, and you're probably going to get a leash from your team, your HP isn't going to be much of an issue. And even if you do find a way to seriously mess up, like that's on my insta-locked Warwick because they updated the splash art and I thought it was Rengar, it's okay because you have a passive that pretty much makes dying early on impossible. So once you've taken out Gromp, level up your E and start mauling blue buff with your big ol' bear claws. After no time at all, you'll turn that blue man group into nothing more than a pile of dead smurfs. Next, it's time to head on over to the wolf camp, and lucky for you, it's open season. So once you register for your hunting license and wait 4 to 6 weeks for the government to process your papers and you pass all the appropriate classes, you'll have some lovely new wolf hides to decorate your cave with when winter comes. But you're a big hungry bear who's got 4 adorable cubs to feed back at home, and unfortunately those wolves just aren't enough to fill you up. So level up your queue and kindly offer to relocate those chickens to a more permanent home in your belly. Then you're off to Red Buff to continue your rampage, and to make sure no one rudely interrupts your wild killing frenzy, make sure to imitate a TSA agent and ward your bush. And at this point, you may be out of potions, but a quick smite of Red Buff will get you feeling healthier than a vegan CrossFitter who does yoga and quit smoking gluten 3 years ago. And before you know it, you're already rocking your way over to the last jungle camp with the first clear, which just happens to be a couple of rocks. Now, normally these kinds of boulders aren't part of the typical bear's diet, but you ain't no typical bear, you a Volibear. So with a nice glass of orange juice and assorted berries, Krugs are now a part of this balanced breakfast. Since you in the last camp with a pretty large amount of health and mana, go see if you can help a lane. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be much you can do for bot, so go hang out with your bro Scuttle, cause Scuttle wins games. After your playdate, you realize you didn't see Scuttle's wife Sandra with him, but you'll have to ask him about her next time since you've got to help out mid lane. To gank, just activate your Q and start barreling towards that enemy. The powerful earthquakes you create with each pounding step will be enough to get a flash out of that mid laner, and instead of getting stunned under their tower, head back to the jungle to help control that growing wolf population. And since you're not running low on health or mana yet, you can afford to take out Gromp as well before heading back to your cave to upgrade your flask into a hunter's potion and your hunter's machete into a stalker's blade. You've also got those fuzzy wolf furs you can use to make yourself some nice warm boots. After heading back out to your jungle and taking care of another camp or two, find Dora's backpack and take a look at the map. Since it looks like the enemy bot laners want to get locked up in Tark's beautifully cascading mahogany colored locks of hair, head on over to do a lane gank and make sure to stay hidden from the enemy's minions along the way. Who cares if Thresh and Lucian aren't dazzled by Fabio's washboard abs, dreamy eyes, and massive biceps that could support a 2-story home? Charge in with your Q and flash onto that support to flip him off so hard he just dies from embarrassment. But since the ADC rightfully took the kill even after all the hard work you did to help him get it, there's no point in sticking around and getting him another kill or a tower that would result in better map movement for our team, so just head back to your chicken camp and farm some more. Then just work your way through the topside jungle camps again and look to see if your top laner needs any help. As luck would have it, there's a juicy, low health Draven just waiting for you to kill him. And I mean, since nothing ever goes wrong on an early game tower dive, get ready for an early game tower dive. And just as you go in, of course the enemy jungler will show up uninvited to ruin your fun plans of sharing a nice picnic basket with Draven and Mundo. So just go full beast mode like the Yogi Bear you are and take those turret shots like a college girl at her first sorority party where that super cute bartender from Alpha Chi Omega is totally hitting on her and definitely not just upselling to her to get her to buy even more shots, cause he's 19 years old and already has a 1-year-old kid that he's gotta pay child support for, and that jerk of an ex-girlfriend Tammy keeps on pestering him to pay earlier and earlier each month. But since his finances aren't the main focus of this video and you just happen to be back at base, upgrade your Stalker's Blade into a Cinder Hulk and head back out there to wreak some havoc on Loki and his alien invader army. On your way back out, check your map to make sure those top laners don't cross streams, cause that would be bad. Then lumber down bot lane like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and help your team pick off whoever they can. When you're back in your jungle, make sure you're utilizing your Hunter's Potion's passive to achieve maximum effectiveness, like when your Gaslight comes on in your car but you can't waste time to fill up right now because you're on your way to see Jacob Sartorius' new concert tour where he and his autotuner badly sing covers of songs that have words and themes he's too young to even understand. So whenever you're attacking a jungle camp, always use at least one dose of your potion since each camp you kill will refill your potion by one use. If you're using your potion correctly, you should pretty much be ending every clear with full health and mana, so ganking should be easier than that ditzy blonde college girl we were talking about earlier. Even if your target is fast or has some escapes, just use your smite on him to slow him down and activate your Q to catch up. A few ticks of your red buff is enough to finish him off, then you're ready to head back home to that nice suburban neighborhood you live on the outskirts of. While you're there, loot through some trash cans with your raccoon friends and trade in those wolf fur boots for some perfectly good boots of swiftness some dude just threw out. After a little more rummaging through trash and scaring middle-class Americans, you'll be able to start building towards a Titanic Hydra. Don't stick around too long though, or you'll find yourself in a grizzly bear situation if those concerned suburban parents call animal control on you. So instead, gather your team and head bot lane to either force a fight or secure your team a dragon. Since you're already pretty tanky and there's a bunch of enemies grouping up, be the one to take charge and start to charge. Activating your ult can be a great way to deal damage across all enemies, even the ones you're not directly attacking. And what better way to show off your team's tankiness by completely ignoring that weak little tower and diving right on in like a group of tourists on their first diving expedition. Your team might be getting a little low in health, but since your passive went off, you're doing just fine. So just bait your ADC under tower with you and pick up another kill while they graciously sacrifice their life for you. But now that some of your friends are dying, maybe it's time to practice safe sex and pull out of there. But instead of recalling, you've still got some of your Hunter's Potion left and there's some jungle camps up, so go farm for a bit. By the time you clear your top jungle, you'll have enough health to gank again. Once you pull a Ted Cruz and pick up another kill, go Zodiac kill Mega Scuttle with your top laner, and let him have the buff since you're just such a nice guy. And since it's been such a long time since you've backed, have him tell Scuttle you need to reschedule your lunch date for sometime next week. Possibly Tuesday, or even Wednesday would work best for you. So once you're back in your cozy cave, finish building your Titanic Hydra, then head back out to your jungle. If you see some enemies trying to invade you under the false pretense of apparently searching for weapons of mass destruction in your jungle, rally all your strength and drive them out of your territory after a long and grueling 9.5-year war where neither side really benefits and your jungle is left in complete and utter disarray and will soon become a breeding ground for extremist Islam terrorism groups. Then just roam around and pick off any targets that are weak or overextended, or in the case of this Darius, you just won the lottery because he is both low health and completely exposed. After recalling again to start working on a Sterix gauge, go grab yourself a dragon kill. By this point in the game, you can solo any of the dragons, but like the mountain dragon, your DPS may be one of the lowest on your team since you're building tanky. So just use a lifeline to phone a friend and soon you'll be a millionaire. While you're jungling, it's always of utmost importance to be looking at your minimap to see which of your teammates needs help. Since your top laner is getting picked on for having a doctorate degree by some douchebag with an electrical engineering background, rush on in there and make some sparks yourself by bringing that Xerath to a world of hurts so fast he'll be shocked to death and won't even have time to ask what happened. Once you finish off his accomplice, you'll be super amped up, so head back to Radio Shack to get yourself grounded and to finish building your Sterix gauge. Start working on your last few items as well. For a final volley build, you'll want to sell your Hunter's Potion for something with a little more armor or magic resist depending on the enemy team's damage output. Aside from the core items, you'll want items that not only increase your armor and MR, but also your health since your W's damage increases with health. Once you've got your build the way you like it, get ready to group with your team. When they're ready, flank the enemies and cut off their escape route by taking out their turret. Then turn your attention to their bot laners and before you know it, your ADC will be putting them in their very own graves. Do the same thing to mid lane and pretty soon you'll be knocking at the front door of their base. Poor little Thresh though won't appreciate you kicking down the door like a well-trained SWAT team, so before he valiantly sacrifices his life in an attempt to save the lives of his friends, he'll utter the words, "Hold the door," and then the entire Game of Thrones audience will break out into tears. For those of you that don't get the reference, consider that a blessing. And after you take out their inhibitor, decide that you aren't ready to end this game, so fall back and take yourself another dragon. Then just take the next few minutes to pad your stats with a kill here, a turret there. I mean, who cares really, you know? You're Volibear, it's not like a turret is gonna really do any damage to you. But as you're having fun frolicking around your woods, you hear of a little girl named Goldilocks who's been sitting in your chair and eating all your porridge. Naturally, that enrages you, so get ready for one last push down mid lane and make that sniveling little douche pay for the hours of therapy your poor cub's gonna have to go through after catching her sleeping in his bed. You destroyed the inhibitor again, but it didn't feel quite right. It was a little small. So keep your blind rage going, attack more things, take out a turret. That felt good, but still, something doesn't feel quite right about it. So continue your seething rage in their base, stand in the middle of all those enemies, see if you care. Their light tickles make you laugh as you smack every single moving thing in their base, and then you sense it. That final objective that feels just right. The Nexus. Victory is yours at last. And next time those enemies play against you, they'll say, "Ah, that's unfair, he's playing Volibear." Well, there you have it. There's your Tank Volibear Jungle Guide.
Coming up in the next guide, where did Scuttle go? Why did Mooman not mention what happened to Sandra? Is their marriage falling apart? Tune in next time to find out why Scuttle wins games.